All right, folks, welcome aboard. One of the reasons that the president didn't lay that wreath at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier on this Veterans Day is that he's in China. And joining us now to talk all about the significance of the trip and some of the very interesting little sidebars that you have to be aware of to understand what's going on is Gordon Chang. We welcome him back, author, television pundit, and LIGNET contributor. Good to see you, sir.
Thank you so much.
All right, so talk about, first of all, what this summit is all about with Putin and China and Japan and the U.S. and all those countries.
Yeah, this is the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Summit. It's in Beijing, 2 days, Monday and Tuesday. On Wednesday, President Obama sits down with Chinese President Xi Jinping for a one-on-one. And then President Obama goes to Burma, where he has an ASEAN, Association of Southeast Asian meeting. And then he goes on to the G20 meeting in Brisbane in Australia. It's about a week, and then he finally comes back to the United States.
And what could we look, to come out of this this whole trip on the part of the president? What could he come back with, or at least say he accomplished?
Yeah, there's not going to be too much in the way of deliverables, especially because these meetings have now become these over-orchestrated events. But people are looking for the United States trying to find the key to better relations with China, which I think is unrealistic because China right now, for many reasons, political distress in Beijing, as well as a crumbling economy, is not really able to have good relations with the United States and with most other nations. And so this is sort of futile. At the same time that Obama is in Beijing, so is Putin of Russia, because Russia is an APEC country as well. And clearly, we've seen very, very warm...
Well, I wanted to talk to you about that. Yeah, the contrast between the way President Ping greeted Barack Obama, for instance, and Vladimir Putin. Talk about that.
Yeah, there's an APEC photo opportunity where the Chinese president greets the other heads of state who have come in. And when he greeted President Obama, it was formal, it was correct, it was okay. But when he greeted President Putin, well, it was warm, it was slap on the back, all the rest of it, which really shows the nature of relations between China and Russia these days, because they are forming an enduring partnership. And this is interesting because, this is the first time the U.S. has had to face two peer competitors since the end of the Second World War. Yeah. And it's the first time we faced a united China and Russia since the end of the 1950s.
And this alliance is military as well as economic?
Well, it certainly is, because we see the Chinese and Russian forces exercising together, but more important, the Russians are starting to sell frontline equipment to the Chinese. They've in the past have sold a lot of stuff, destroyers, planes, submarines, but they've been sort of second generation type stuff, almost obsolete. Now the Russians, I think, are going to be on the verge of selling the really, really good stuff to the Chinese, and that's going to make a big difference to us.
I was going to say, how concerned should we be about that?
Well, we should be very concerned because, at the end of the Cold War, we sort of won because we enticed China away from the Soviet Union. This time, the other two nations are on the other side. The only thing that we've got going for us, and it's a big plus, is that we've got a very strong, resilient economy now in comparison to the Russian economy, which is headed for contraction, and also the Chinese economy, which is stumbling. So you have two weak states getting together, sort of opposing the United States on a number of different areas.
Unless, of course, they combine and they shut down our infrastructure through cyber warfare, which we've heard more and more about with this computer bug according to ABC News, in our infrastructure computers ready to attack, and they think it came from Russian sources.
Or it could have come from China.
Yeah, either way.
The Chinese and the Russians both have been attacking computer networks in the United States. And, to put this in some dimension, the Chinese steal perhaps about $100 billion worth of intellectual property each year. Yeah. Not only is that a lot of money, it's a lot of jobs.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Japan. Talk about the relationship that was shown by the way the President Ping greeted the Japanese representative.
Yeah, Shinzo Abe is the Japanese Prime Minister. He had this photo opportunity, of course, with President Xi Jinping. It was really a breach of protocol on so many different levels with the Chinese, who basically humiliated the Japanese Prime Minister in front of the cameras. The Japanese Prime Minister was forced to wait for the Chinese counterpart. Also, Shinzo Abe was speaking words of greeting, and Xi Jinping just completely said nothing. Yeah. And then when they were shaking hands, he was looking down in almost contempt and disgust. So this is going to be not the breakthrough that people had hoped for when they shook hands. This is really perhaps going to be the breakdown as Japanese get really upset.
Absolutely. President Obama chewing gum. Nicorette, we could presume, who knows, making a big deal about that, the media is. Is that a big faux pas?
Well, you know, it's better than him smoking cigarettes in front of everybody.
Guess, yeah.
You know, he's a Nicorette chewer, you know, and I'm not a smoker. If he was chewing Nicorette, I'm not going to hold it against him, but Chinese netizens are.
And why did the president's wife give back, pass on, Vladimir Putin gave her his coat, she got rid of it, and they edited it out of the video in China. We got 10 seconds. Why did they do that?
We don't know. You know, Putin put a shawl on the Chinese first lady. She took it off and gave it to an aide. The Chinese have sort of censored that.
Was he hitting on her?
That's what some people say. I don't think so.
Gordon Chang, great to see you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, folks, we'll be back with retired Major General Paul E. Vallely. Don't go away.